In 2005, Harmonix released one of the year's best surprises, Guitar Hero. It was a rhythm game where you could play licensed songs with a guitar controller. As the genre blew up, sequels, spin-offs, and competitors crowded the space, leading to the downfall of these plastic accessory games. But from that downfall came the devoted community of fans. People reverse engineering the games to make their own tracks, mods, and even full remakes to keep playing. One of the side effects of this community is that thousands of songs have been charted to play, and those charts all have their game data hiding in plain sight. This is redeveloping, and today I want to make my own Guitar Hero game. Before we get into file parsing hell, we need to address the controllers. There are tons of controllers, consoles, and spin-off games, which means that not all instruments are built the same. Some connect to controllers like the Wii, and others connect directly to their device. For me, I have my childhood guitars for the PlayStation 2, and because I ripped my PlayStation 2 games for emulation long ago, I have these adapters that I got for less than $10 on Amazon, and you can probably find some similar solution on the internet for your guitars. But for me, because I already have the tools, I launched up my stuff and got a testing ground opened up. I whipped up some models and laid out my environment. The game works in a very simple way. A note is placed in front of the player and moves toward the bottom of the screen. When that note hits an invisible hitbox, the player will have a chance to press that color button and strum. If they miss or strum at the wrong time, they lose their streak and don't earn any points. Fairly simple, and we can implement that in a few minutes. But the problem that we're going to come across is, when do we spawn the notes? Our next step is to get some songs. Inside of a song, we can get notes, but we have to know where the notes are. This is a website that I get specific songs from. There are other sources, and you can get anything else you want by doing some surface level Googling. But for me, I will grab my closest crab rave and download the file. I extracted it and opened up the folder. Inside, we are greeted with a ton of useful information. We are given the album cover, the chart file, details about the song, and the actual audio file that we'll use to play the game. Let's focus on the details about the song first. In this file, we get some information that we could parse with a script. Information that we can get is things like the name of the song, or how long a song is. In this case, Crab Rave is 163 seconds long, or just under 3 minutes. Then in our chart file, we are given the same information, but a little bit more detailed. At the bottom of our chart file is this nondescript list of a bunch of things. And my assumption is that these are the notes, mainly because it starts with the letter N. We have sections called sync track, events, and then I guess this is difficulty, so I guess that is how many notes we have. With all of that information, we can now start building the game. To start, we're going to get the directory of our song and put it in as a string, and we can access that directory at any time. We're going to load the image of our cover first, then we'll load all of the information like the name, the song length, and all that good stuff, and then we're going to load in each of the notes. If we can do all of that, we pretty much have a rhythm game. It's just getting all that sprinkly sauce and particleness that we would need to make it really good later. In C#, you can load it in like this. And this will just take an image and create it into a texture, and then I can just show that texture. Separately, for our audio file, we're going to use a similar method, and that way we can just play any song from outside of the game engine. That was all fairly easy, and right now, everything works. Except for, all of the notes. The game of the game, if you could say. So now, we're going to go through these two files and parse out all the information that we need for the song itself. And the first thing we need to do is actually go through a little bit of a history lesson on how Guitar Hero handles songs. The first thing that we need to make clear is that the game does not use seconds. It actually uses ticks. Think about Minecraft. It actually uses 20 ticks per second. And so for this game, we need to be able to know how many ticks the song is going to use per second. Then we can use that on the timestamp of each note. That way we can spawn the note at the correct time. There were some docs released, and I was able to find the conversion, and I wrote them up into two different functions. Now, we can use those notes that we saw earlier, and we can decipher how long each note is. And this is perfect, because now we know when to play it, and if the note will last for any longer than just playing it. Now, about getting that tick rate. It turns out that in the information file that we looked at earlier, there is a timestamp for how many ticks per second. So we can just load that into the game before we start playing the song. We can also get the song delay, and that way we can play the audio and sync it up with the notes. With all of that, we should be able to start making note objects, and then we can spawn them depending on its tick rate. I decided for testing purposes that a note should only really need when the note will play and what kind of note it is. So if it's green, red, yellow, blue, or orange, and then when in the song it will play. In our file, we can now loop through that expert song section and we can get every single note. On the left is the timestamp, and on the right is the note type. And then the next number is how long that note should be played, like a sustain. We can load that into our note object and create a big array of them. And now we can loop through each of them and spawn them at the right time. And if we run out of notes to play, well, we just end the song. Or wait until the song is over according to how many seconds it should take to end the song. This is working for some reason. This is kind of crazy, actually. The cool thing is, like in my previous project on the VR Wii U, you can use this for anything. You can make this into any kind of rhythm game, where you can just take the same format and convert it into a different idea. For example, there are plenty of different games out there that use this similar kind of rhythm style, and you can make these different notes or different sustains mean different things, which means if you make your game support it, you will automatically get all of that content that's already been made. So, even though my implementation is very simple, if you wanted to do this for yourself, all you would need to do is make a script that scans some sort of folder on your computer and search for all of the directories that have this same format. And because most songs follow this format, you should be pretty good to go. Now, of course, there's plenty of other docs and plenty of things that we didn't actually do. And that's where you can kind of make extra points. If you really want to implement every last little thing, there are documents that have been put together by people in the community and people who did modding years ago, and you can use them to actually make your games better or support more instruments or even just go farther. For me, this is pretty much what I wanted to do. It gives me access to Guitar Hero notes, and now I can make my own games using this rhythm situation. It's really cool. Okay, but now it is playtesting time. Let's see how badly I did at making a Guitar Hero game. Alright, so, had to change a couple things. This is definitely not done. This is kind of what I've done in a weekend, so you can do better if you spent a couple of days or maybe even just longer on a game. You can cheese the system so hard. It's very complicated to make a Guitar Hero game. And people are going to do it better. But you can make anything. And I think that's the whole point. It's pretty lined up. Yeah, my code's pretty bad. Look, I can just strum and it'll do it anyway. So, like... And there's ways you can do it. I've had I can't speak while it's playing music. I had an implementation where it would actually check each of the notes, and the code on GitHub will have that. But I was having an issue where my guitar wasn't pulling correctly, but it works still. There's just bugs on bugs on bugs on bugs. So building a game is hard. Building any game is hard. But if you wanted to build a rhythm game, there's plenty of support by just stealing from other people. It's great. It's really great. And there's a bunch of people on GitHub and other places that have made charts or have even documented the charting process. And you can take that and then build code, like I just did. I think the hardest part about all of this is making a game around it, because most people are not going to want to make Guitar Hero because that already exists. Clone Hero is the best it's going to be. No one's going to make something better unless some crazy person comes out of nowhere. Kind of has that community support. It has just all the features. It has different instruments. There's more instruments than just the guitar. And you can go and make those things. You could follow the same process I did and do it for the other instruments or for lyrics or for anything. Um, it's not that hard. The hard part is making something good. Like my VR, Beat Saber clone, that didn't work too well because I had to be able to have, Beat Saber work before I got the notes to work. And even then, this is what I made recently. Back then, I didn't know some of the things like the resolution being the way it was or the tick rate being the way it was. Um, I'm going to try Crab Rave because I want to see if that is working still. Bop. Or no, wait. Did I just do Crab Rave? I already did Crab Rave. Let's do this one. But, yeah, this only took 2 days. You can make so many things in a longer amount of time, but being able to have one script, open up a file, it's quite quick. Obviously, if you have a song that's 15, 20 minutes long, there's going to be an issue. But I've been opening 4, 5, 6 minute songs and haven't had issues with loading. And that's probably because I wait until everything's loaded before I start the song. So it doesn't even need to be efficient. Yeah, I need to fix that. But, yeah. Overall, I think this is probably the second coolest thing I've ever done. The first one being, of course, Wii U VR. But, there's so many things you can do with this. I think re-implementing it would be really cool. I just don't think it's really worth it because you have a clone hero. But it's really cool to be able to make other rhythm games, like building a VR game where you have to play drums. Like maybe you're actually going to play real drums, but using this as your way. Or maybe you use this same system, but you start to build like a full piano thing where you can learn piano on a real piano with like AR. There's just different things you can do with this. And yeah, it's a good way to learn certain things. It is simple. This is parsing a file that's like first class in high school level stuff. But doing it in a big system, being able to process audio at the same time as spawning game objects. I'm doing this in 3D. I mean, the actual games do it in 2D with sprites. And now I'm rambling. Okay. I mean, what else is there? I don't think there's much else to say. I'm gonna pull up the script. You're gonna get scripted. Yeah. So, if you want to know how to do it, you can either do the same thing I did, where you go find that GitHub in the description and reverse engineer it yourself. It's really fun. Takes only a couple hours or days, to do it. Not that bad. Very doable. Or if you just want to steal my code, go for it. But it's clearly bad. I mean, I couldn't even get note-by-note recognition to work correctly. So, you may want to fix that first. There's also some other problems, like, for example, Unity doesn't support the .opus file. You need to convert it to a WAV or an MP3 first. And I've been doing that. However, I've done some surface-level research and found there's ways around that, or ways to convert it in your game, which is cool. There's also, the small idea of not using Unity, since all this stuff's been happening. I've been moving away from it to do other projects. They're just not as visual, so I can't make videos very well. But I think it's still really cool to make this, because now it's just going to work. And the cool thing is you can port this to any console because it's Unity, right? You have access to phones and consoles and PCs and I don't know, like Potato. So yeah. But this little series that I did is remaking some game mechanics. So this game mechanic is obviously Guitar Hero. But if you have any other suggestions for things I should make or do or cry about, yell at me. Because I have nothing to do this summer. I have work and then nothing else. And I kind of want to do something else. So I'll take anything. I think I want to work on another game mechanic thing. I also have a secret AI project in the works that you're going to like. But other than that, bye.